What's up guys, Nick here, and in this video I'm going to walk through and show you how you can utilize business reports to optimize your listings. Now, business reports are an amazing tool that we can use to track sessions and conversions for all of our listings. I want you to think about every single listing that you have as an individual web page. And like any web page, we're always tracking how many visits are we getting to the web page and how many people are actually converting into a purchase. Now, this information is really important because then you can troubleshoot and find out what your problem areas are. Now, throughout this module, I'm going to talk about ideal sessions or ideal conversion rates. Now, it's always going to vary depending on your category, but there's a general ballpark. And if you find that one is lagging, you can dissect and go into the business reports to allow you to see where you might be falling behind and where your listing might need improvement. This is really crucial, and I think it's an incredible way for you to be data oriented and take a data approach for how you can utilize our tools and techniques to improve and further optimize your listing. And I highly encourage you to get familiar with these business reports so that you can implement them and as you're continuing to optimize your listing throughout. All right, here we are. So I have one of my accounts open here, and here you can see this is the business report dashboard, so we can see how much we've done in sales for the day so far. And we can go ahead and see a snapshot off of the dates, the marketplace total, and so on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and dive into a specific report that I like right here, and it's called Detail Page Sales and Traffic. Okay, so let's go ahead and go in. All right, here we go. So in this report, you can actually filter by specific dates. Okay, and every single one of these lines represents a specific SKU or ASIN or listing page. And remember, I talked about how every single one of these listings should be seen as its own web page, right? We're trying to track sessions, we're trying to track conversions, and we want to use that data to inform us as to where we could potentially improve. So what I like to do is I personally like to track this data on a daily basis. And we'll do an export, but in this specific scenario, I can go ahead and say, look, I want to see my information for March 18th, and that's a Sunday, and I want to see how specifically we performed on that day. And now I can really get granular, okay? So over here, we have a listing here, and you can see that we have this many sessions, so this is how many views we're getting to the specific listing. And session percentage is just basically a representation of what percentage these sessions represent across all these sessions my listings get across the board for this account. Okay, and page views just means these aren't unique page views, these are just however many times it's been seen. So there might be a person who's gone back to the page, gone to another page, and gone back. So your page views are usually going to be higher than your sessions. And same thing for the page view percentage. Page view percentage is just going to be the percentage this represents across all your SKUs. And buy box percentage. So this number basically indicates to you how often you win the buy box. Now, this is typically only applicable if, let's say, you wholesale your product or you sell wholesale products. In that instance, you might be familiar with what buy box means. If you're new to private label, you usually don't have to worry about this, but you might see this as an issue if someone jumps on your listing and tries to pretend to sell your product, right? If that's the case, you might see your buy box percentage go down. Typically, if you own the listing, you should have 100% control of the buy box. And if it's anything below, let's say 99%, that's a major indication that there might be something wrong and someone's hijacking your listing. And that's something that you should report to Amazon and try to get fixed because it will impact your sales. Next, you have units ordered, and this is how many units have been ordered, right? And pretty simple, and we have B2B units ordered. So if you made yourself available for the B2B program, this means businesses can buy from you at a discount. These are how many sales that you've gotten for the SKU that are B2B. And then we have unit session percentage. So unit session percentage is very simple. It's basically the amount of units divided by the amount of page views. And that's what we call the conversion rate. So Amazon calls it unit session percentage. We call it conversion rate. And this is the number that you'll be looking at and that what we'll be referring to throughout the module. This is the number where we think that anything above 15% is pretty decent. Anything higher is even better. We like to shoot towards a 20 to 25% range because we know that conversion rates are ultimately what drives better ranking. If you have better conversions and you drive more traffic, then you will get a higher rank. And that's ultimately what we're shooting for. We want more organic purchases and conversions. Next, the same thing here. This is just specific to B2B. And then we have ordered product sales, which is just the dollar amount in product sales for today, for that day. And then the ordered product sales in dollar amount for B2B. So relatively simple. This applies across all of your listings. It's the same principle, but ultimately this is a really good way for you to troubleshoot a SKU. And if you find that sales are really decreasing, you can go into the day-by-day picture, okay, and then identify, okay, on this day, like what was a day that we saw a decrease in sessions? What was a day that we saw a decrease in our conversion rate? And then you can use that information to then drill down as to where you can improve your listing. Now, if you find that consistently you're below 15%, then obviously that's room for improvement, right? If you find that your sessions are only 20 a day, that's obviously huge room for improvement. We need to find a way to drive more sessions. So again, that's why I like to that's why I've broken apart this module into driving traffic and into improving conversions, because those are ultimately the two levers that will impact your rank on Amazon. And if you can maximize those two levers, you will drive more conversions, more sales, and you will drive more rank. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay guys, I hope that walkthrough made sense to you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below or hit us up in the Facebook group. Otherwise, keep making moves and we'll see you in the rest of this video.